Today I am here with two very special guests, and they are from the band Cellophane Riot. They are based out of Morgantown, West Virginia, my little hometown. Love Morgantown. And yeah, we're going to chat with them today about their music, what they've got going on, things they've got going on in the future. It's going to be a fun time. So guys, how are you doing today?
Cold, a little bit cold. We've had a bit of inclement weather, but other than that, pretty excited.
Good. Yeah, that's good. So the first thing I just want to ask you about is your new song, The Unnerving. You guys just released this like a couple days ago. So tell us about the song. How was the songwriting process?
Well, we have a unique process that involves me. I usually start by making the music, the foundation of it. And after that, it goes to Evelyn, and she kind of molds it into what you hear in the song itself.
I like to think of him, he's the foundation, because normally what he'll do is we collaborate. He'll send me like bass and a melody, or a harmony, really, and then I'll add onto it and write vocals. And then we pass it back and forth and argue. And then and then we decide, okay, this sounds nice. Let's do this.
Perfect. Yeah. And a good song was never made without a little arguing, right?
I like it. I like the passion. Yeah,
spice.
Absolutely. And you know this. You know, you've got to be passionate. If you're in a band or if you're working with somebody and you're not passionate about what you're doing, you're not willing to fight.
Right.
Yeah, I like it. I think it adds to the music,
where's the substance without it?
I think you can hear it in the song.
For sure. Yeah, so why The Unnerving? What's the title?
Initially, those lyrics were used as a placeholder for me, as a suggestion for the vocal melody, but you liked it so much that he just messaged me and was like, just send me what you already have with the lyrics.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, honestly, I didn't write anything down. Those were ad-libbed. I was hoping I would go back and get to edit them, but after you had mixed it, it sounded so good. I was afraid to touch it. But The Unnerving, I'm a very spiritual individual, and a lot of times when you send me tracks, I really try to stay true to what the song itself is saying. And the song was so beautiful and haunting and it was a little bit unnerving. And that's how it struck me the first time that I heard it. And so, obviously, I ran with that. But it's also, I think, as I said before, we're both spiritual, although I'm not particularly religious.
Right. There is a bit of a difference.
Yeah, there is. There is. And it's sort of like a call to a higher power, I would say.
And I really definitely, when we put the video, because we did a lyric video, we haven't done that, and I thought the lyrics were poignant and powerful. I wanted to make sure that people understood. So we did put some symbolism in the lyric video, if anybody's seen it. And the song itself, the reason why I think it's interesting with the lyrics, like she said, Evelyn said it was a placeholder. The song was written in one take as well. I had this melody in my head. I literally sat down and laid down the drums, the bass, and then the initial synth line, all in the same, I'd say, half hour, and just left it. And that was way back in early November. And it just kind of put itself together, because we have a lot of material, stuff we haven't even released yet. And this one, it felt like it was the right time. We got the right equipment, and it sounded good in the simplicity. It's a very straightforward song, and the lyrics fit. So I didn't. We felt like after we heard it all together, there was an honesty to it. It didn't feel like it was over polished.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So, how do you feel? I know you guys have talked about getting new equipment and things. How do you feel that this song now in your process compares to stuff that you've put out in the past? Do you really feel like you're getting better or
Oh my gosh. Yes. I hope that is self-evident, especially if you listen to some of the songs that we released initially. There's a lot of static going on there for very specific purposes, and it's not simply because we added it in. It's because when we were recording, we had a MacBook from 2014 that I was singing into.
We're using the computer mic initially.
And
you use what you have.
yeah, and he would, because, and he kept telling me, sing louder, sing louder, sing louder. And I remember at one point I was like, I can't sing any louder. This is it.
Like, I'm screaming.
Yeah, like my voice is hoarse. I can't do anymore.
Right.
Would you like to add?
Well, I just think, this goes for any artist, anybody that's going to be listening to this. The equipment doesn't make the song better. The song is going to be as good as it's going to be. The equipment will polish it better. So I was never concerned with, are we going to be able to write good music? I wouldn't put anything out that I wouldn't dance to or listen to myself. If I don't like it, I say it. I've deleted things, numerous things. I put hours, days, months into, and then sometimes it just comes out and it's perfect as is. And yes, the equipment has made, I think, the mastering process a lot better. The audio quality, it's louder. That's something I always talk about. I don't want to over compress anything. I'm very specific with trying not to make it really compressed, but I want a loudness, I want a clarity, and I think with the microphones we have now, it captures Evelyn's voice a lot better.
Yeah.
And
it sounds really good.
It sounds a lot better now. So
it's also a lot easier to plug it into Logic Pro, because before, as we had mentioned, we were sending things back and forth, and he was the only one working with Logic, and so he would have to try to line up my vocal tracks with the song.
it was a separate file.
Yeah, so that was time-consuming, tedious, and you also had me singing into a void. I couldn't even hear the music. So, just hoping that, I hope that one works. Let me know.
There was a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
A lot of back and forth. So
go ahead.
I was going to say the process has been streamlined, and anytime you can do that, you're going to end up with better work.
For sure, because you're not trying to overcome as many obstacles to get to your creative goal. You're just you can get right to it. There's nothing impeding that creativity or kind of throwing you off track. So yeah, upgrading your stuff is definitely, it's nice. It's a good feeling. And that's kind of how you guys work a lot too. So for all of your other songs, you instead of collaborating in person, you guys kind of do things more separately. So explain that process to me a little bit more.
So it always begins for me when I write. I drummed in a band for 4 years, so everything for me is drum and bass initially. I want to lay down the drum beat. I have some presets that I use, that 20 or so, that I lay down, and I lay a bass line over it that I think is hooky, kind of a catchy thing.
Hooky.
Yeah, play a little hooky with the song, and I take that and then I'll write a melody over top of it. And sometimes that melody's not even used. It'll just give Evelyn an idea of maybe a melody that she can play with. Once I pass it to her, you take it from there because it becomes your song.
Well, I've always had this somewhat annoying habit, I'll admit it, of singing over songs or trying my own thing over songs.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm alone with that. It's finally paid off for me. Thank you.
Guilty.
Yes. Especially in social settings when people are staring at me going, please.
Please stop.
Please stop. But so it's just a lot of fun, especially like we were just discussing with this new microphone, the upgraded equipment. I can really just explore and layer things like we were not able to do before. Because before it was basically,
Like your
yeah.
It sounds so rich.
Oh, yeah, there's a much fuller sound, and it's exciting because there's so much more you can do. And so, on one hand, I liked the obstacles. I liked the fact that we were unable to do everything that we wanted to at first because it made us really think. You know, it makes you think. It makes you be creative. It makes you go, how do I overcome this? How do I make it sound decent whilst singing into a computer speaker? And I think overall we did a great job. And then now that we've upgraded our equipment, we're really excited, especially going forward, because as you said, we've got a few tracks in the works right now that are, the next one, I always call it the happy song. It's not released yet. It's currently under the title of Project 668. But I'm excited for it, and we're trying new things. We're adding, quirky little noises that you can do with Logic Pro.
Yeah, because we like to use a lot of. I try to stay away from any stock sounds. For crash cymbals, I've banged pans together, and I've recorded car horns and a lot of different things, and just kind of twisted the sound to get something that's unique. And with this new stuff, having a higher quality mic, anybody out there, if they can, get a Zoom mic. It is extremely helpful. Those little Zoom mics, they're really, we used that for a while and to record a lot of samples. But the new stuff, we're going to try some different sounds. We've experimented with everything from I think. Half or More was interesting. We tried a little bit of funk in that one at the halfway point.
It was pretty funky.
I liked it. And so this new one, we're going to try something a little happier because we do like a little bit more of a melancholy.
I like happy things.
I do too.
I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I just sound melancholy. My voice does when I sing it.
But that's nice, you're always exploring different genres, different feels, different emotions, and that's cool. Artists should do that.
And it's fun. Yeah. It's freedom. It's freedom to not be pinholed in any certain, and frankly, I mean, we had never, I just love this because he had never written music. He wasn't you were in a band.
I played drums to someone else's songs.
And he was not allowed to contribute other than the drums, if you understand what I mean. This is your part. You keep the beat. Do not add your own self in here. And so finally, you're able to be creative. And I didn't even know that you could write songs when you came to me.
I still wonder if I can, but I think it's a process, and we've grown, and I think people are giving us a very positive response.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to continue to kind of develop the sound, and I think this latest one, it's picking up. People are listening. We've got a lot of positive responses, and hopefully people continue to enjoy whatever else we put out there, because we have a lot.
Yeah.
We have a lot.
Yeah, you have a lot, and you're doing good. You've got 500 followers on Twitter for a band that's been together for 6 months. That's awesome. So 6 months ago, when you guys met up and you're like, yo, we're about to start a band, where did Cellophane Riot come from?
Okay, well, actually, funny enough, I wanted Quiet Riot. And he was like, no, that's already a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's so clever because it rhymes. And then Cellophane Riot came from, honestly, Riot, I sort of wanted in there because I was pretty emotionally bitter at the time that we formed this band, simply because of American politics and the things that were happening and that are still occurring.
There's been a lot of rioting.
And of course, cellophane is just clear plastic that you can rip easily. So it's a little symbolic of frustration, but at the same time a need. For there to be an evolution in the music, because one of the things that I love when you're listening to 60s or 70s music, and I don't want to disparage any other decades, but with the Vietnam War, such reactionary music. You listen to CCR and you listen to The Doors. You listen to
The Who with My
Bob
Generation.
Dylan, The Who. and you can hear it in their songs. And so, you know, when I was depressed and frustrated and wondering, where is our nation going? And I'm listening to music on the radio and it's not reflecting what I'm feeling. Like, I don't want to go get drunk and party. First of all, I can't do that.
No.
We cannot afford
No. First of all, that wouldn't be a good idea right now. But like, I just needed. I felt like we needed a voice, and when we started, you know, I'm like, if nobody ever hears this, at least I did it. At least I'm expressing myself. And so that's what I would like to encourage anybody who is thinking about being creative, do it. It is a beautiful, wonderful outlet. It will get in touch with yourself spiritually. I mean, that's what really matters.
It has been cathartic. And
it has been.
I think with the band name, too, because she did throw out a lot of band names that were fantastic. But I was looking, and everything with the media, the way they package everything, and they make it a commodity. When I threw out the name Cellophane in front of the word riot, it's because everything feels like it's a commodity, and they buy and sell to the masses. So I looked at it as a Cellophane Riot is it's commodifying everything, even the people's voice has been prepackaged. And while the band name means that, I kind of like the punk attitude of the 70s and 80s. And I listened. The band I played in was a punky kind of band. It was very raw. And she was mentioning the politics in her lyrics are, you know, evident, but there's a beauty and a poetry to them. I wanted the band name and even the imagery to kind of reflect that. And that's why the Cellophane Riot, it's kind of mocking the prepackaged politics and mentality in the media and
that's actually also
government.
A large part of why we tried to get by with not showing. You're still maintaining not showing our faces.
I have no desire.
Not becoming, but then, you know, it's kind of like you're in self-denial at a point. Like, you've got to start meeting people. You've got to start branding yourself, as somebody told us. And
that's why we did this, yeah.
Yeah, but I have nothing else to add to that.
I think you nailed it.
It gets hard to sort of remain anonymous, you know, when you start to develop a fan base, because not only do you kind of want to get to know them, but they really want to get to know you. So, and like, that's even with me, like, that was the situation. I wanted to, like, I was like, who are they? Like, I want to know who they are. So yeah, it's really nice because you guys can still maintain that mysteriousness where, you know, you're presenting yourself, Evelyn, you're like out here, like, look at me. But then you've got your producer, like he's like the mystery over here. And that's cool. You can still kind of maintain that.
I told him, and this is so funny. I'm going to tell her this. You're not going to like this, but I was like, please show your face. You're so handsome. And he was like, the last band used me as a piece of meat. And I was like, well, I want to do that too. Like, let me market off of that. But he said no.
Yeah.
So
The initial, and all joking aside, the initial reason was, because, you know, before anybody hears you, it's going to be friends and family, and I wanted the art to speak for itself. So Cellophane Riot was literally just a symbol for a very, very long time, the first 4 months. And I wanted to see if the responses were going to be positive or negative in an honest way. Because I have thick skin. I've put out pieces of work before, and, you know, if it's not received well, that's fine. But I wanted to see if the music could stand on its own and if it could pick up any kind of steam at all. And it did. And that was very rewarding.
and it's fun.
And it's been fun. And, you know, I guess I've decided to hold on to it because I do prefer to let the music kind of speak for itself without anybody recognizing me or hopefully they won't recognize me. My voice is kind of distinct, so we'll see. But it's been fun.
It's pretty distinct.
Yeah, it's been fun.
After this interview, they're gonna know who you are.
They're gonna be
Probably.
like, "Is that you?"
So, but
Well, especially if they know me. I'm sorry, but
you've given me away.
I know.
But it's been fun, and that was the purpose initially. And I like being creative, and I wanted to kind of create some characters to go along with the music that would make it just as fun.
Yeah, well, not only that, but also to give yourself a degree of separation between reality and, I mean, because obviously our music is real to us, but at the same time, like you said, there does need to be a bit of a privacy screen.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it has to be blacked out, but I'm just saying that, a little bit. A little bit of a shade there would be nice.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, people can be very intrusive at times.
Well, you've probably experienced that more than we have at this point, but
Honestly, most people just leave me the fuck alone. I don't know what I don't know what it is. Like, usually if they chat with me, it's like very short and all about music. So it's pretty chill. And I think it's just because I am really that kind of person that I am very open about my life. So people know that I'm like very much in a relationship, that I'm very much closed off from anyone offering me anything. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So yeah, I feel like people just maybe kind of respect that. I don't know. People don't really bother me that much. But so I was gonna ask you, I know that we talked before about you guys like going and doing live shows when everything is kind of, getting better and people are getting vaccinated. Get your vaccinations. Yeah, or do you think you guys would like kind of dress up and keep the sort of costumey, like hiding my face kind of thing while you're performing on stage? Because I honestly think that would be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I had this idea for a character a long, long time ago. And I kind of am using this as a springboard to that. But yeah, absolutely. Just because.
Yeah.
I think it's
Fair
interesting.
enough, I think.
You see Kiss, they did it in the 80s. David Bowie did it with Ziggy.
Yeah, but David Bowie is so beautiful that he could
I'm not gonna
slap
compare.
anything on his face and he
yeah.
looks great. I mean, let's just be honest.
And, Slipknot did it in the 90s and the 2000s. And there's been a lot of other artists. It's not something completely new. But I do think at this point, Cellophane Riot is...
Well, they probably didn't have a mask that changed with your breathing pattern.
True.
Which I think is cool.
I kind of...
I don't know. Yeah.
It's
the Rorschach.
The Rorschach thing, yeah. But...
Yeah.
I think if we would do a live show, I would have to upgrade the equipment. We both would, but yeah, we would love to do something like that. And once everything calms down,
Yeah, I think Morgantown needs Cellophane Riot shows, and I literally could just see you, Evelyn, like decked out with like crazy like drag type makeup and like your hair all done crazy and just just out there. I swear when I ever do my first show, I'm going to be fucking dressed up like Lady Gaga or some shit. I'm going to have like platform heels on.
The way that you were dressed in your music video, like it was so beautiful. So I don't know if I can say brave because it looks like you just owned it so well that I was like, does she dress that way casually? But I mean, honestly, beautiful. Yeah.
Honestly, I do dress a little provocatively most times, but most times.
I don't care. I love freeing my body and the body positivity and all of those things. Be naked, I don't care.
See, I am so modest.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So modest. That that would be fun though, because this whole thing is about coming out of a comfort zone.
yes, absolutely.
And my comfort zone was anonymity, and I liked that, but this is more true.
That's
to
a good
myself.
segue into how we started, because when you first started, you singing was not something that. If you had a great voice, I'd heard her sing many a times to other music or humming melodies, but the first time behind the mic, you tell it.
Literally, the first time behind the microphone, I was like this, and I couldn't get any louder, and I was like shaking. And he was like, no. He was like, I have heard you sing. Yeah. Yeah. Like, no. I've heard you sing when you think nobody is paying attention, and that's not how it is. So also with the upgrade of the equipment, it's a lot easier to just go ahead and sing, because one of the issues that we had before was peaking, where it would, suddenly spike in volume and then drop out, and then spike in volume and then drop out, and that was not a pleasant sound. We didn't go with that.
Yeah, you lost a lot of dynamics in the voice. In the early recordings, if you listen, the volume levels was an issue, and we had Band-Aids to fix that in the mix down, but the dynamics were lost.
I'm sorry, but the pun, the Band-Aids.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sorry, I like that.
You're so witty.
I know.
Yeah, that's a good point about like having the equipment makes it so hard, because if you're not like, if you're too close to the mic, you're literally not going to get a good take. If you're too far away, it's like, damn, how much gain do I have to put on this to make it audible?
Yeah, and if you're screaming into a tiny microphone that isn't meant for this.
Yeah.
We did a lot of. So
when you're when you listen to your music and you're like reflecting on it, do you ever listen to other people's stuff to compare your sounds, or do you like to kind of see how you're different from other artists?
Yeah, I have a very eclectic taste in music, but of course, we're genre specific right now because of the instruments we're using. We will expand our the type of instruments we use.
Repertoire.
Yes, but I would say a lot of the music we listen to kind of get an idea is everything from the Crystal Castles to Grimes. She's been a really good reference track. Her first album in particular, with the song Oblivion on it. I use that a lot because I like how she uses her voice, and I like her production quality, the way she uses different sounds, the bass lines and the drums. I'm trying to think. Depeche Mode, New Order, and the Talking Heads are some others that I can think of.
Yeah, because what he does a lot, and I've seen him do it, and I mean for hours. I'm sure you've done this too, because you do your own music and producing and mixing and everything. Is he'll play those songs, add in one of ours that we're currently working on, and see how it sounds in comparison.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do that too. Well, honestly, there's like a specific term for it. I don't know why I'm blanking on it now, but do you know what it is?
Reference
there's
track?
Reference track, that's it. Reference track. Yeah, I was like, there's a specific term, but it's not in my brain.
Yeah.
Reference tracks.
I did not know that.
It's nothing is the Doors when they were writing the song "Break On Through." I mean, Little Richard was a huge influence on the organ. Raymond Zarek said, he stole it. They weren't above stealing, and I've obviously and Evelyn as well. We both borrowed heavily from the artists that we enjoy. I'm going to say Florence and the Machine was another one that you brought into it.
Oh, I'm so glad you know who we're talking. I love her. I love her.
She's fantastic.
When I first heard her, it was I had never heard anything really like that, and I was like,
so beautiful.
It is,
Absolutely.
and she's so powerful. I think the drumming song was the first one that I ever heard from her, and I loved it.
My favorite one.
Oh, I love it, and I love the music video. I think she's so talented, and I haven't heard much from her recently. I hope you're out there, Florence, doing your thing.
Everybody go listen to Florence.
right.
She's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, she definitely has inspired me vocally before. I remember, 4 or 5 years ago, before I even got into music, I would literally, my friend Malia introduced me to Florence and the Machine, and I would just be singing them nonstop, same song, on repeat, singing it over and over and over again, because me and her would have these little, not singing contests, but, singing showcases, And I was always so excited to sing with her, and I would just be like, oh my God, let me teach you this, let me teach you that. And then we would just like pick these songs and we'd come over to each other's house and just like sing it like we were on stage. And Florence and the Machine, we sang a lot of her.
She's fantastic.
I love that. I also love it because you're right, it helps you train your vocals. And it's fun. And she's
It's
got
way more fun than like actual vocal practices.
way less intimidating. Yeah, you're right. And vocal practices as well. Because I was in choir and I had to do those. But,
Every artist was inspired by somebody else. So Florence, when when she was doing, we wonder who she might have been listening to. So yeah, I mean, those are the kind of the ways I get inspired, and I passed on. I think Grimes was someone that you ended up liking a lot of because you hadn't listened to her before.
No, actually, I hadn't listened to her before, but then you had played me a track of hers, and I had nonchalantly sort of like, oh, okay,
Yeah, you did.
That's fine. But then once we started this, and I started really listening to music, because once you start getting involved in music, you start listening to music. I was no longer just a passive observer. I actually was listening to it, and I was like, wow. This woman is a
You start
genius.
to fall in love more with some of the technical things the artists do. Like, before I had started making music, like you said, I'd never listened to music the way that I listen to it now. And so I think that that's also something beautiful that comes along with making music, is you're unlocking another, like, understanding of music and how you can listen to it and how you can feel about it. Because there's some songs that I fucking hate, but I'm like, how did they do that though? Like, sounds like
I
shit,
agree with you.
but how did they do that? Hate it.
Yeah, because you don't have to like something to admire it.
No.
And I know that sounds somewhat contradictory, but it's true. You know, you can look at something and be like, that I don't particularly, the sound's not for me, but what they did was brilliant. Yes, and different. And I appreciate that, especially now that, like you said, when you start actually making music and participating in the music, it gives you a different sense. It gives you an awareness, and I've been grateful to it.
Yeah,
I've been grateful to you to coming to me and bullying me into this.
Yeah, I did bully.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You guys are like a great duo, honestly.
Thank you.
How did all that translate? Like, you guys usually work by yourselves, and you have such a, I don't want to say different outlook on music. I feel like most musicians who are really truly into what they do kind of have the same opinion, where they can, listen objectively and give and receive criticism objectively. So how do you feel you guys collab with other artists? Because you just had a collaboration not too long ago too, right?
Yes.
Yes, I loved it. Now, the only thing that I didn't like about the collaboration with the Talking Tears is I would have loved to have been able to meet them. Like, honestly, because for me, especially with the COVID, it really was all digital. So I didn't really get to talk to them at all. But I love the final product. I think that it's beautiful and unique.
Let's plug him, too. Go listen to the Talking Tears, by the way. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I love that name. Yeah. I was like, oh, what a great name.
The song, and it was cool.
I know.
You'll get to meet him, by the way. I highly recommend you, because you're, was introduced to the Finds. Daniel spoke highly of you, who kind of runs the playlist. You're gonna get to talk with him. He loves to collab. What was cool about it, and I'm going to say this very quickly, was what I did all the communicating with the Talking Tears. He sent me a bass line, a synth line, and some sparse drums, and said, do your thing. So I put it all together. I gave her a copy. I gave the Talking Tears a copy, sent it to him. I did not let them listen to each other's vocal parts. I made them think that the other one was going to wait for the other one, and then I smashed it all together at the end. I wanted to see what would happen if it was done.
You're like a bunny in the forest.
Kind of eclectically. just...
I thought it turned out really well,
did.
because at first when I heard it, I was like, well, I don't think our lyrics match up very well. But then he flip-flopped, because I had written this for the second half of the song, and he had written for the first half of the song, and you went,
And it worked.
And it worked, because we sounded like a really dysfunctional couple, but in a beautiful way.
So I did the same thing for, I think, Visions. I did that where the first, like in the very beginning, the first half was the second half. The second half was the first half. But I was like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, what are you even talking about? But then I switched it and I was like, oh, yeah, that works.
I hope they look at it as an abstract. Well, yours was called Vision, so it's like, think of this as an abstract way.
It's abstract.
Everything together.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty abstract, but that was fun. And your guys' music is like that too, where it's got like that, mysterious feel, and I'm into it. It's different. And that's why I wanted to interview you, because I was like, oh my God, their music is so cool. So the last question I just want to ask you guys is, I asked Wilson this too, and I felt like he gave like a really good answer. But what do you guys want to tell musicians who are just starting out? Because you're 6 months in. So you're at the point right now where it's, we're going to get serious, or this is just going to be a hobby. And I think you guys are starting to lean now how often you release music. You have this interview now that you can kind of post and put, like, promote your social media and stuff like that. So what advice do you have for people just starting out?
I'll kick this off. Then it's this: don't get discouraged.
Absolutely.
One, it's not going to happen, and anything's not going to happen overnight, and we're well aware of that as well. Stay consistent, and obviously have backup plans. It should be, I'm not saying a hobby, but it should be a passion. I started it out. If
you're not enjoying it, you're doing something wrong. I mean, this is something that you should feel like you're connecting to that inner self that we sometimes suppress. Sorry to go psychologist on everyone here, but there's an inner part of yourself that when you go out in society, you can't express that. Music, art, creativity, writing, painting, drawing, whatever you do, sculpting, woodworking, do it for you, enjoy it, and just, because then even if somebody else doesn't like it, it doesn't matter as much, because you're not putting as much emphasis on what others are getting from it. As long as you're getting something, you're putting yourself into it, you're developing yourself. I think it's a beautiful tool that everybody should be creative. Everybody should have something that they enjoy really connecting to themselves with. And that's the gift, I think, that you've given me by, again, bullying me into this project. And I appreciate it, because, I wouldn't have been able to meet you. I wouldn't have been able to find out that I do have a creative side. And it's been a blessing.
And the honesty.
So anybody starting out, do it.
The honesty
and do it.
Through.
Yeah, do it, and suck at it, and accept that, and then and do it.
Because you will.
And have like.
It's not going to be perfect the first time. It's
no.
The thing is, you'll find out it's easy to start doing something. Like, I look at it like this, and I'll make this will be the last thing I say. It's like working out. The first week, you're going to go hard. The second week, you might be like, I'll take a couple of days off. A month down the road, are you still consistent?
It's like when I tried to learn French.
Yeah. Well,
I don't speak French.
Not anymore.
I didn't stick with it.
So that's it.
But you're right. It's that lag, because at first you go off of motivation, and at first you're like, I really want to do this. I'm motivated. I want to get this done. Motivation is going to lag. And then what else is there? There's going to be discipline. There's going to be potentially love, hopefully. I mean, if you're not getting enjoyment out of something that you're doing, I advocate stop doing that thing. Because, like you mentioned before, you've maybe got 80 years here, and not all of them are going to be years spent in your 20s feeling immortal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, so when you guys like kind of lose steam, what kind of methods do you guys like to take to kind of get your motivation back, to get back on track?
Oh, for me, it's real easy because get to wear a lot of hats. You know, so when I'm not writing, when I'm not writing music, I'm usually trying to communicate with other artists and
that's a
promotion,
lot of fun.
you know, and things like that. And listening to music is what really gets me motivated. Watching a movie. Little side note: the beginning of Hand of Plenty has the ticking clocks. We're watching Pinocchio because we have Disney Plus, and it was on. And Geppetto has the scene with the clocks, all his clocks going off, and
That's
I was like,
horrifying movie, by the way.
That's what
I still maintain that.
And I was like, I want to put clocks in a song. So that was the birth, kind of the starting point for that. But there's inspiration everywhere. You're not going to always feel inspired. It's about consistency. And when I'm not feeling inspired, I put my energy into something else that'll keep me motivated, and it kind of rekindles everything.
That is one thing. This year I haven't had to worry about inspiration because anytime I feel like being inspired, I frankly just turn on the news or read an article, and I'm like...
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
why has it come to this?
Right, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, guys, is there anything that you want to say to your fans before you go? Anything you want your fans to know about some upcoming releases, things that we're about to be doing?
Get out there, be creative yourselves first off. Anybody that wants to, do something like this. And, keep your ears open. We got a lot of material that we're going to be releasing, so...
Okay, so somebody who was listening to our music today, I loved it, because they were like, it was, disturbing but enjoyable?
Yeah.
And I was like, I've been described that way my entire life. So I feel like my music is reflecting that.
She'll be okay. But we get a lot of stuff in the works, so we look forward to sharing it with everybody.
And we look forward to hearing it. I'm excited for what you guys have coming out.
I'm excited for what you have coming out, too.
We're gonna collab,
yes,
too.
I would love to do
Oh,
that.
yes,
I
absolutely.
think you are so talented and so gorgeous. Seriously. Ego.
Oh.
Look her up. I don't know what camera to look at.
And Cellophane Riot. Look them up. Do it. I'm gonna link their info, so go to it. There's no reason not to. All right, guys. Well, I will be in touch with you. Thanks for sitting down with me and having this little chat. I think it was very enjoyable, and we got to learn a lot about a really cool band in Morgantown. And we're gonna go see them live when everyone gets vaccinated.
Whenever,
soon.
Yeah, soon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't even checked. I'm not on the list. I know I'm not on the list, but frankly, that's okay with me because I know that there are a lot of people who need it a lot more than I do. So,
Yeah.
So I can be grateful that I'm not high on the list.
Right.
But anyway.
Cool. Well, guys, like I said, I'll be in touch, and please let me know when we can collab because I'm excited.
Oh, yeah,
I would
absolutely.
love to
You'll
do
be
that,
hearing
yes.
from us. Thank you again for the
Thank
opportunity, Ego.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys have a great night. Thanks for chatting with me.
Thank you.
Bye.
I